project, we created an air hockey team. Our team, called CSS for You, it consists of Johnathan Nguyen.
Hey, I'm Jonathan. I helped create the scoreboard and added the increment and decrement buttons, as well as adding some of the animations for the paddles.
Matthew Johnson.
I'm Matthew. I worked on the initial design of our air hockey table and did some of the testing for it.
Hayden Kowalchuk.
Hi, I'm Hayden Kowalchuk, and for this project, I worked on the tournament bracket and also the validation of the website.
All right. And me, Neon Bowie, who created the UML class diagrams and added certain animations and transformed. For the UML diagram, we have the air hockey entity, which has table, scoreboard, tournament, and background, with a function meaning new. It just stands for like new game. So when you click on that function, it will refresh the page and it will start from the beginning. And then under that, we have table, which consists of puck, paddle, and the function draw, which draws the table. The puck and paddle will contain direction and velocity, which is how when you you move the paddles, it changes directions and velocity, and then the puck also changes direction and velocity when the paddle hits it and intercepts it. And that's why for both they also have a function of draw and then update it. So it's like a moving sort of situation. And then we also have scoreboard, which consists of player and the score. And for scoreboard, it has the function increment and winner. So increment will make the score go up, and then the winner will decide who has the higher score at the end, or who reaches the max score. And player will have their name, and then they'll be allowed to rename their name, and it updates that, of course. And then we also have the tournament, which is the player name, player score. We also have a draw update in versus. Draw update, of course, it updates who wins and the score and the name. Versus compares like two players, and in the background we'll have color or image, which we draw and update as well, depending on what we want. And for the user, statement of problem, we'll create an air hockey table without JavaScript. So just HTML and CSS to animate and do everything for the air hockey table. So HTML will create like the basic div and everything else, while CSS contains most of the positioning and animation, transform, transitions.
And this is the initial design of our air hockey table. Basically, we have one main div that's used for the base of it. It's the border of the air hockey table. We have several other smaller divs inside of it that are styled in a way. They make up the paddles, the puck, like rings and the goals and stuff. We use keyframes to animate the paddles and the puck so that they move around. And we use the border radius so that we can get rounder edges and like change the shape of the divs. And here we have a H1 code snippet. This is just showing how like we format it in CSS, the colors, the thick font size, and all that. And basically, what we did is that we used keyframes to make the color of the air hockey title H1 and definitely change colors.
So in order for us to set up the scoreboard, we set up two separate divs that uses a float property to have one player on the left side and the other on the right. Player 1 and player 2 also have a color change animation along with the header. Underneath that, we have an area for the score. And lastly, for the scoreboard, we decided to have an increment and decrement button for each user in case they accidentally misclicked or messed up the scores. That way the users don't have to restart their games to reset the score. The buttons also have a hover feature that darkens the color of the button whenever a user hovers over it. Now for the brief overview of our HTML and CSS code snippets. Here we have a container for the scoreboard, which contains the left score and right score divs. And over at the CSS, we have the left score div floating to the left of the air hockey table, and then the right score div floating to the right. And for the hover features, once the mouse hovers over the button, it changes to a darker shade of that specific color. And we'll show, for the paddles here, we use the keyframe strafe. For paddle 1, which is the left paddle, it moves towards the puck, away, up the table, and then it moves back to the puck. And for paddle 2, we also use another keyframe. This one's called strafe 2. It moves the paddle away from the puck, towards the puck, away, and then downwards to try to block the puck.
So as far as the tournament bracket, I went for a simple design that shows columns in a traditional 8-team bracket. And the HTML for this is very easy to read. We start with the class bracket quarter that highlights the quarterfinals, and then we have our high side on that and our low side. And each of these columns for the tournament bracket slides in from its appropriate side using the animation either slide in from left or slide in from right. And those trigger on page load. So right as you load the page, they will slide into place. In addition to the tournament bracket page, I also worked on ensuring that all the HTML validates as proper HTML5 and that our CSS for the entire project validates as CSS3. This helps ensure that we're writing a high level of markup and CSS for the project. And again, no JavaScript was used, so that was not tested nor implemented anywhere. And this is the live demo of the air hockey table project we built. And here's the animation where when you hover over the title, you can see it enlarges and also is playing that keyframed color animation. And then for each scoreboard, the buttons will highlight if you're hovering over them to indicate that. And then obviously we also have the paddles animating as if you were playing the game and how that would look. In addition, we have 2 buttons on the bottom. One would start a new game for a player, and then also take you to the live tournament bracket. This is the tournament bracket, which as you load in on the page, the standings will slide in, and you can see the quarter, semi, and final teams in this particular season.